Hello, everyone. I apologize um, for the break in the stream. We had an issue. I had a power outage for about a half a second, knocked me off the internet, so the internet had to reboot. We just redid our electrical service because of a contractor. Multiple contractors came by and said that our electrical box was like full of rust and like a fire hazard, ready to just go up in flames. So that's not the case anymore. So still just set up temporarily until the electric company can come. But I know everybody's super interested in that. But I'm going to stop talking about that and start talking about Twilight Struggle. So I had just spun the wheel, and Ted was slotted into Group A with me. As I think I was saying, Ted and I when Ted and I play each other, we stream the game, we talk to each other as we do it, and I know that's entertaining for some folks. It's a little bit weird, but we have fun doing it. And now we will move along to Group B. And so I'm going to take Ted's name off the list and spin. And it's going to be Josiah. So Josiah, how do you feel about drawing Ryan here in Group B?
Well, I feel like Ryan's hot right now because of the convention. You know, he's got to be have a lot of momentum behind him. So I'll try to do some unorthodox plays to throw him off of his game. I think that'll probably be the strategy to victory. Hopefully.
Yes.
I feel good about it. I'm excited to play him.
Yes. Now, Josiah and perhaps Justin as well, you can comment on this. Will you be using the now official trademarked Team Pennsylvania strategy of de-Stalinizing into the Mediterranean countries in Europe?
Yeah, look, the Pennsylvania Federation disclaims all connection with what we're calling the Josiah school of thought. This is, no. And if we were playing as the Pennsylvania Federation and I was the one flicking the buttons, there's no way that would happen.
I saved 10 points on 2 Europe scorings because I destalled 4 into the Mediterranean. But yeah, I'll hold on to that play. I'll save it for Champions League. That's a Champions League play, and I'll make it then.
Yes, that was a crazy play at the time. I didn't understand it, but you're right, Josiah. It did save you Europe domination, so saved you a bunch of VPs.
Well, maybe it was 8
It was
points.
interesting. It gave us something to talk about.
Yeah, I'm a little hazy on how the Europe scoring card works. Maybe it was 8 VPs.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we've got Harry and Justin moving on. So it'll be Harry in pot C. Let's see. We've got Harry in pot C with Gabriel, and that puts Justin in pot D with Tim Furrow, our defending champion. Justin, what are your thoughts on drawing Tim?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm intimidated. I'm gonna definitely have to play to my best ability and draw some really lucky cards. That's going to be a date that's circled on my mental calendar. Probably going to be the toughest game I faced this summer.
Yep, Tim's a great player, no question about it. He's in the RTSL Stalin division, defending champion of Atlantic League, so somebody's got to take that guy down.
I'm looking forward to watching a recording of that match, if at all possible.
Yes, I know that you guys both typically record your matches and post them on YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah, like you, Justin, I've got some internet connectivity issues and problems like that. So streaming in real time is usually not a good, match for what my system can handle. But try to record and watch it, post it asynchronously.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to pot 3. So we've got Andrew, Anthony, David, and Alan Applebaum. Alan actually last year he went 2-2-1 in group play, and just narrowly missed out on a playoff spot because of tiebreakers. David squeaked in on said tiebreaker, and then Anthony was narrowly left out despite being in pot 2 last year, now in pot 3 this year. So I believe you guys are both somewhat familiar with Anthony and David, at least. Can you talk a little bit about their styles of play?
Sure thing. I mean, one thing I will point out is that both myself and Josiah, Anthony, David, our other Pennsylvania teammate, Joe, are all going to be at the WBC this coming July for Twilight Struggle. And so if someone asked me, what's the level of competition there? If you're going to be at the WBC, go ahead and post here in the chat or find me in Discord and let me know. They are both really strong players, both very self-effacing. David is quick to, talk about his misplays, and Anthony, would consider himself only an average player, and yet both of them have won laurels at the WBC, and so they have a lot of experience playing asynchronously and playing face to face. So the speed or the timing of that is not what I'm used to. I think they're used to a slightly slower pace of game. But both very, very strong, very cerebral players that give a lot of thought to each move and rarely make mistakes.
Yeah, I agree. Are we doing the thing where lower seed gets to pick the time limit or something like that?
Question.
Yeah. So I was talking with Justin. We decided to just tweak it a little bit this year. We have some players we have some newer players. We have in our league. We have half the field is in the is outside of the top 500 in ITSR. And maybe more used to the OTSL Silver timing of 90 minutes. I know Midwest League uses 90 minutes as well. So we are so the lower seed will pick the time against so the lower ranked player in ITSR will pick the length of the game, and they can pick anywhere between 75 and 90 minutes. Obviously, the Champions League is 60 minutes. ITSL is 60 minutes. OTSL Gold is 60 minutes. We encourage players to play 60 minutes if they are comfortable. But if both players don't agree on what time they want to use, we will allow the lower seed to set it between 75 and 90 minutes. So thank you for bringing that up, Josiah.
The reason I bring it up
is used to both, given that you're an OTSL Silver, but also play in these other leagues.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've been playing a lot of team games too at 90 minutes, and I've been playing alongside Anthony, and he really seems like the kind of player who doesn't just, respond to what his opponent did, but really tries to think deeply about why they did that. So if I were matched up against any of these players as the lower seed, I would probably opt for a faster game because I think they'd be able to make great use of the extra time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, those guys are good players, especially when they have the extra time, and then David, especially in the async situation. But we will spin the wheel here for pot 3. I know you guys know Anthony and David very well. Andrew and Alan we know less well. Andrew had a good ITSL season this year, finished 9-10-1. Alan performed well. He went 2-2-1 in Atlantic League last year, narrowly missed the playoffs. So none of these guys will be an easy out. Let's see who's going to be in pot A. Is it going to be Anthony or David? It's going to be David. So David slots into my pod, and I actually played David in OTSL last year, and he beat me. He made some unorthodox move that worked out very well for him, and he actually beat me in a turn 6 USSR win in the mid-war. Could not get my scorings out before he scored South America and won the game. David definitely a good player, and so he will join me in pot A, in Group A rather. Group B will have Andrew Ahern, so he'll be slotting in with Josiah. I don't know Andrew well, but when I emailed out the people who are in the Eastern time zone of ITSL, he responded, wanted to play, so glad to have him aboard.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Andrew because like you were saying, I don't think he participated last year, so it's always good to see some fresh blood and get some new lines and new techniques in the meta.
Yeah, no question about it.
And to grow the community, I think that's an important part too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, great to have new players in the pool. And pot C is going to be Alan or Anthony. Is it going to make it to Anthony? It will. So Anthony joins Gabriel and Harry in Group C, and that leaves Alan in Group D with Justin and Tim. Either of you guys have any experience playing against Alan?
That's a good question. Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I don't remember offhand like a particular win-loss record or an especially memorable game.
I've never played against Alan, but I will say he played against David in OTSL last year and tied him. And because of that tie, if he had lost that game, David would have won my division in OTSL. But instead, because of that tie, that enabled me to win the division and got me that bye in the first round. So I am thankful to Alan for that. So the two of them played. I personally have never played them, but he'll slot into a pod with Tim and Justin. And then Alan and Tim were in the same pod last year. I don't recall how that game ended, but yeah, okay, looks like Tim won pretty quickly in a USA steamroll on turn 3 against Alan. So Alan's going to have another opportunity to get a little bit of revenge in that one. But we can move on to pot 4, and let's see.
Same, Stephen Deutsch. I had a math teacher in high school named Stephen Deutsch.
And Graham. So yeah, Stephen will join Graham, Argo, and who else? Michael McKibben. So Michael McKibben is. I actually met Michael at PresCon, the board gaming convention down in Charlottesville, Virginia, earlier this year. And he found out that he went to Grinnell, just like I did. So we are both Grinnell alums. He graduated 15 years before me in 1993, and I graduated 2008. But I was wearing a Grinnell hoodie to the convention, and he was like, "Wow, did you go to Grinnell?" And so I had I corresponded with Michael over email about this league, but hadn't met him in person. So that was it was a treat to meet him and find out that we went to the same school. So that was pretty great. But this is pot 4. Still some good players in this pot, though, for sure. Michael been playing the game a lot of years. Steven knocked me out of last year's tournament. If I had beaten him, I would have advanced out of the group stage, but that's not what happened. Graham made the playoffs. And made the playoffs out of Pool A last year. And then Argo, I know, was in Pool C, which was...
Got second in Pool C.
Yeah,
too.
and then you, I believe, Justin, you played against him. Is that right? Last year, you played against Argo?
I did, but I don't remember the result of our game. Do you have that handy?
Yeah, I do. So Argo went 4-1, and he had a good run. Lost to Ryan, but beat everybody else. And so yeah, let's see. It looks like you beat him, and it looks like he beat you in final scoring as the USSR. So
and then Argo won his first playoff match against George, and then ran into the buzzsaw.
Yes. So ran into Tim Furrow. So that was, still a good run for Argo. Went 6-3 in the tournament. So a good run for Argo. He's not going to be an easy out for anybody. And so let us spin the wheel here. So who's going to slot into my group? I'm hoping for not Steven, given that he knocked me out last year. And I get my wish. It's Graham. Graham, if you're watching, some bulletin board material for you. As I just said, I wanted to avoid another player. And so let's go back to this. Nope, that's not the one. So Graham Palmer will slot into Group A. Group B. So this is Josiah's group, and Josiah will get Michael in his group.
Which I think is the only player out of these 4 that didn't make the playoffs. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Stephen, Graham, and Argo all made the playoffs. So Michael was in pot 4 last year as well, but did not make it. So he's hoping for a better fate this time around. He actually did pretty well at the PresCon convention. I believe he went, I want to say 4-2. So he's a good player as well.
I got to be careful. It sounds like he has a bone to pick.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Group C will have Steven, and so that means that Justin will get another shot at Argo from Group D.
Rematch time. Here we go.
Rematch time, yes, indeed. Okay, we've got 4 members of each group set, and we will move on to pot 5. As I'm typing the names in here, so Justin or Josiah, do you recognize any of these names? Any of these names pop out to you as familiar players, people you've played against?
Yeah, Ed, the Colonel. Yeah, I lost to Ed in sort of a miniature play-in tiebreaker to advance last season, and Ed posts all his games on YouTube, and I find it's super entertaining to watch. I think he's one of the more like like serious, but also taking his games with a grain of salt. I find him just really funny and entertaining to watch. So I love his YouTube stream, but I don't love it when he beats me. So that's what I remember about him.
Yeah, Ed's channel is called Gaming with the Colonel. I encourage everyone watching this to look it up.
Yes, Ed, definitely an entertaining player, definitely a great member to have in the community, and look forward to watching his Atlantic League games on his channel.
I had the opportunity to play Sarah in, I believe it was the International Twilight Struggle League. They're a really good player. Kind of an up and coming, sort of finding their way in the Twilight Struggle, competitive scene. So it's going to be really interesting to see, what this season brings.
Yeah, I had a really interesting game against Sarah last year. They pushed me to almost to final scoring before time ran out, but it was a very, very close game, very interesting game. So I will spin the wheel here. And so who's going to come into Group A? That'll be Michael Mitchell. So we didn't talk about him, but I actually met Michael at PresCon as well. He was a good player. Had the opportunity to play against him. I did beat him, but there was a glitch with the deck. There were 2 copies of Aldrich James Remix in the deck. Don't know how that happened. So that was really, really strange. So somebody's Twilight Struggle deck got there were a bunch of games out, and somebody's deck got two of the same cards. So I don't know how the heck that happened.
You got to count those decks before every game. You got to count them.
Exactly. So it was a weird game.
Michael wasn't in the league last year.
No, he was not. So Michael is new to Atlantic League as well, and he lives in Atlanta. So he is on the East Coast, and we are happy to have him aboard. Group B will have Moshe Klein. So don't know much about him. He qualified for ITSL Silver playoffs this season. Went, I believe, 8-11. Had 19 games, I want to say, but certainly a respectable season, and a player that can make some noise and win some games in this tournament. So he'll slot in with Josiah.
Also, a new player to the Atlantic League.
Yes. Yep. Yes. So those were our 3 new players: Andrew, Moshe Klein, and Michael Mitchell. So 2 of them will go into Group B with Josiah and Ryan.
Well, I'm rubbing my hands together right now.
Yeah. And then Ed will go into Group C. So this time, Justin is denied his rematch chance.
We'll meet together in the next stage, Ed. Come on, you gotta make it, and then we can have our rematch.
Yes, I'm always entertained to watch Ed's games, particularly the Team Texas games on his channel, where he and Michael and sometimes Thomas and sometimes Dave DiCarlo hang out and play their games. Those are always entertaining. Sarah Judd rounds out the pot 5, and they will slot into Group D. With Justin and with Tim. Sarah, a member of Team New York as well. So they dodge Gabriel, who is the captain of that team. Right.
It's interesting, as you mentioned that, I'm not seeing a lot of intrastate matchups here. I'm not positive where everyone's from. Josiah, do you see any? No, I think it's almost as if we planned. We didn't plan it this way, but it's almost as if we did, Justin.
Yeah, and I remember the first season we had a bunch of Pennsylvania guys all together,
Mhm.
and I was sad about that because I wanted you guys to get opportunities to play on other people. But this time, yeah, it looks like the only interstate matchup is actually Ted and me,
Oh,
and
right.
we are. But I have since moved to the suburbs. I live in
It's not
Bethesda,
a
Maryland, and
state.
Yes, I was just
Ted
about
lives
to
in
point
Iowa.
out,
Yeah.
as you know, the district is not a state, at least not yet, Justin. You have to make
Yes.
that happen.
Yes, I would like to make that happen, but we'll see. That's another story for another time. And finally, pot six, we've got George Young.
Who made the playoffs last year?
Yes, we got
That's
Joe.
George.
So you guys both know Joe well. Talk a little bit about him and his Twilight Struggle journey.
He's
That's
in
a good
love with
word.
Red Sea right now. He's
Yeah,
very.
it was
I see
actually.
him on Discord. He's playing Red Sea all the time.
I was about to say, if you're looking to figure out or get used to that newer implementation trial struggle, check out his YouTube channel. But when it comes to just standard play, I think Joe is really learning a lot, kind of growing a lot as a player, and I would say, I would not want to see him. I hope he doesn't end up in my bracket here because. Joe is a dangerous player, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think he really opened up my eyes to one consideration when you're placing Comic Con ops. Previous to having played with Joe, I would never use Comic Con to put the second influence in Yugoslavia. I would always try to spread it out as thin as possible so that Truman will have minimal impact, IREDs will have minimal impact, but Joe turned me on to using Comic Con to get a second in Yugoslavia, and I think it ended up giving us a Europe Dom that game because we were able to efficiently take that battleground, just placing the third one in Yugo. And of course, you run the risk of Truman being more efficient, but it's worth the risk. And yeah, so Joe's a teacher as well.
That's a good point.
In real life and in the game.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, I know you guys played Team Illinois and defeated them to win the group, to win Group A or Group B rather in the U.S. Cup, and so get that coveted bye into the semifinals. Peter mentioning on the chat that we should all rewatch the scrimmage between Team BC and Team Pennsylvania. I don't think we need to do that. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
a
we
great use of
definitely need
time
to
for
do that.
anybody. I forget how that one went. I think it went all the way to final scoring. I'm pretty sure it was real close game, real exciting game. But we move on.
You guys should try drawing defectors.
Yeah, I know. All right.
I know.
They won't headline decall. But then you headline decall. All right. We are here. We are in pot six, so we're going to spin the wheel and see who gets into my group. It's going to be Martin McMurray. Martin, I don't know much about Martin, but I do know that he beat Ted last year, much to his chagrin. He had a very heavy early war strategy, focused, almost entirely on the early war regions. But all those scorings came up twice before Ted could get back at him in the mid war regions. So we'll see if
Martin,
I have
our
similar luck
third
against him.
player, our third player with the initials MM.
Yes, no doubt about that, Josiah.
Almost like a Stan Lee character, maybe.
Yes, and Joseph will slot into Group B along with
Here we
Josiah.
go. Now we've got a Pennsylvania Civil War brewing.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh boy.
Little Pennsylvania Civil War going on. Looking forward to watching that one. Group C. This will be our last spin of the wheel today. We've got Carl or George, and it's going to be George. Will slot into Group C, and that puts Carl, I believe, of Team New York as well, into Group D. So once again, we are denied a Team New York rivalry, although Sarah and Carl wind up in the same group as they were last year as well. So, okay, we finally got our 6 groups of 4. So I'm going to put you both on the spot here. Justin, we can start with you. Give me your group of death.
All right. Well, sort of standard disclaimer. any one of the people on the screen could win all of this. I think that the groups are, because of the way you constructed the pots, Justin, any of these groups are good. If you could say, all right, we're going to just randomly assign you to, from your current spot to a different place, I wouldn't want to end up with you and Ted. I think that's a dynamic duo combo in Group A that is going to be really tough. It's really tough. So I think I'm happy with where I am.
Josiah, what
Group
about you?
B is we're the pot of death. Group B, watch out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely hear that. With we've got Ryan there, Josiah, our defending runner-up, Ryan OTSL champion, and a lot of good players there as well.
But also like new names with like unknown strategies. Dangerous.
That's true. 2 new names, and Joseph, who is a player I know who has improved a lot from last year to this year.
Mm-hmm. Interesting thing about the matchup between Joseph and I is that Joe he like lives near the Amish, but like my first name is pretty Amish, so it's gonna be the Amish showdown. We're gonna play in person because we don't believe in electricity.
I was gonna say, how are you gonna play electronically? You're gonna have to meet and play
by.
No,
I'm gonna take my horse and buggy over to.
That's great.
Justin's already regretting having us on the stream.
I'm thrilled to have this,
thinking this was a huge mistake.
This Pennsylvania Amish banter. This is not something that I would get with Ted.
That's right.
Ted, it's a very different kind of banter with Ted. But okay, now I'm gonna put you guys on the spot again. I want you guys each to pick pick your projected champion. And then also, I want you to pick a dark horse champion who's a player you think is most likely to make a run outside of pot 1 and pot 2, who I think is most likely to make a run. I would say, now guys, don't pick me, but I don't need to tell you that because no one would ever pick me in Atlantic.
No, just before you said that, Justin, I was gonna say this is your year. I'm gonna put the extra pressure on you and say this is your moment. You've been building up good karma for the past 2 years. You're going to catch fire, and just run the table. That's my prediction.
Wow.
This is blatant pandering that's going on right now.
We've got some hot takes here at this 2023 Atlantic League draw. That is a scorching hot take. But all right, Justin, you've picked me as your champion. Who's your dark horse to make a run out of one of the lower 4 pots?
Okay. I'm looking here.
Don't take my answer.
You're saying just one person.
You can pick 2 if you like.
All right.
If you pick 2, then you're definitely gonna pick the same guy that I was gonna pick.
All right.
Pick 1. Josiah picks 1, and then Justin, we can go back to you.
All right. I'm gonna pick just one person. Okay. I'm gonna go with fellow Pennsylvanian Anthony Russo. All right, Anthony's been sort of like, when I talk to him, he seems a little bit down or talking about, feeling like, I don't know if I have time for the game anymore, and maybe thinking that, other players, newer players might have sort of passed him by, but I don't think that's true. I've talked with him enough and talked strategy enough that, I think he's got a really, really insightful mind. Interestingly, Anthony is a former, used to work for NASA, now retired. So when you say to him something like, well, come on, Twilight Struggle, it's not rocket science. Well, for him, it is rocket science. So I'm gonna pick him.
All right, that's a good pick. So Josiah, give me your champion and your dark horse.
Well, I think I see Harry winning this one. Harry had a lot of grit in the playoffs. Was able to 2-0 Ted Livermore, ran into the buzzsaw, but then had a clutch game 3 against Gabriel Panek to take 3rd place. And I think that Harry's almost certainly doubled his skills since last year. So I think he's going to take it. And as far as dark horses, I think it's a crime that George is even in pot 6. I think he's definitely pot 3, pot 4 material, if not higher. So I could see him making a run. But I would say Ed. I've got going to be keeping my eye on Ed Prem because the content creators, they always sell themselves short. But you have to get really good at the game just for the sake of your content alone. And he's been collaborating with Cloverfield and Stryker from Mortal Kombat 2 in Team Texas, and I think he's gonna bring all of that energy from Team Texas into this tournament. And we should watch out.
It took me a second to get that reference, Josiah. I was liking that.
Yeah, Harry's a great pick. Harry is in pot 2. He's actually outside of the top 100 in ITSR right at this exact moment. I think he was at 103 when I made the pots, but he spends a lot of time inside the top 20. So I think he's just on a little bit of a losing streak. But yeah, Harry's a great player, a guy who can beat anybody. And yeah, had a role in knocking me out of the tournament last year. So Harry definitely a great pick. So I'm looking forward to seeing this unfold. I will, after we're done here, it's a little bit boring. I'm going to figure out who gets 3 USA games and 3 USSR games and decide who's going to play what side against who. And then I'll send out the schedule later today, and we can get to playing.
But I think we're all in agreement that Tim is not going to win this year, right?
Yes, obviously.
Absolutely.
Obviously. No Tim this year. Matter of fact, I'd be surprised if Tim makes the playoffs, to be honest with you. Justin, it's going to be on you to get that first statement win against him coming out of pot 2.
I'll overprotect North Korea just for that reason.
Yes. Okay. And then one other thing I want to mention is I have in the past, spent some time during the week streaming some Atlantic games. So if you are interested in having your game streamed and would like to have my commentary on that, I'd be more than happy to do that. I will do the occasional game, but if you want to record your game, send it over to me. I can often find some time during the workday to stream a game. I'll often speed it up to 1.5 speed, but I can do that. People sometimes get a kick out of that. Other people don't like it when I criticize their moves. So, but you know what? I also think it's boring to just say, "Oh, that's a good move" every time. If you are interested in having your game streamed, let me know. I know you guys post your games on YouTube, so that's a great resource as well. But if you are looking for a stream, you are obviously more than happy to just shoot me an email, and we can work on that.
Well, what if I was thinking, instead of you watching me play after the fact, you could just watch me play during the game and then whisper little suggestions to me.
I'm not sure you need that.
What do you think about that?
You went 9-0 in last year's tournament before you faced him. I went 2-3, so I'm not sure you need that.
You could be the devil on my shoulder, giving me bad ideas.
Yes, this is what you should not do. Here's what I would do. Do something else. We got some requests in the chat to discuss my opinions on the ITSR system and talk a little bit about Haifu Wu. I don't think we need to discuss that today. I don't know if anybody's ever talked about that before.
Is that the player who's only played like 12 games?
Yeah, he's the guy who I think made a run to the ITSL finals or semifinals in 2012. Won a bunch of games and is high up in the ratings, but hasn't played in a decade.
Yeah, I can't see the chat right now, but like ratings should absolutely come with decay. That's how they do it in all the fighting game communities that I love participating in, and you gotta earn it, and then you gotta keep it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. So I don't even think that qualifies as a hot take. I think that is an entirely fair take. But I know we are coming up on an hour here, so I want to let you guys go. Thank you guys for joining me for the draw. This is always entertaining. I'm hoping the tournament is entertaining as well. So guys, I guess we'll give you guys one opportunity here. Any final thoughts on the draw, on this tournament, predictions as to what'll happen? Justin, let's start with you.
So maybe one last detail would be for those that might be newer to the tournament or anyone interested. What is the I won't say the prize, but explain what's at stake here for the top finishers in terms of other events like the U.S. Cup
Yes,
or the
thank
champion.
you. Thank you for
Champions
mentioning
League.
that. I forgot. I forgot to say that. But yes, the winner of this tournament for sure, and almost certainly the second place contender, maybe third as well, will qualify for the Champions League. The Champions League is a tournament that Josiah played in last year as the second place qualifier out of Atlantic League that pits the winners or top finishers rather of domestic leagues around the world in an international tournament. And so we have 3 American leagues. We have, I know, the Spanish league. We have a Polish league. I don't want to say Spanish league, Spanish speaking league, the LFTS. And a bunch of other leagues, and the winners of those leagues play in a multi-stage tournament to determine a champion. So perhaps, why am I talking about that? Josiah, can you talk a little bit more about Champions League and your experience playing in it?
Yeah, Champion League is really interesting because you're coming off of a regional tournament where everyone's awake at the same time as you, except for Peter France, who's in Turkey. And, you just think, I can play at convenient times. And then you go to Champions League, you're playing against people all over the world. And, your opponent very politely just asks you to play a game at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's a lot of fun. And sometimes your opponent will drop from the tournament and you can get 2 wins like I did, not even having to play against them.
Yes, I know that has happened in the past. So I'm hoping that whoever takes home our Champions League bids will stay in the tournament and do well. I know we've had our representatives have struggled a little bit in the Champions League, and I'm hoping this is the year we turn that around. But yes, Justin, thank you for mentioning that.
If I could just de-stall into the Mediterranean one more time, I think it'll work in Champions League this year.
Yeah, it could save you a bunch of VPs early on, and if you're trying to get that USSR steamroll, score Middle East and Asia once again before the mid-war scorings came out, it can make all.
And then just draw
the sense in the
Junta.
world. Yeah,
just draw Junta into Uruguay. Who needs de-stall?
Yep. Just a turn 4 Junta. That's all you need, that makes all kinds
Pretty
of sense. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I think they say nowadays. But I think that's what the kids say. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. It's good to have you. Good to have you on board for the draw. I'll send out an email.
You didn't want a prediction from me, Justin? You don't want my prediction?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. I want a prediction from both of you, but Justin asked me a question. So yes, give me your final thoughts. Give me your predictions.
Well, my prediction is that all of my opponents are going to headline Missile Envy against me. And each of those missile envies is going to wildly backfire. It's either going to hit NTB, and I'm going to get a bunch of successful realigns in France at -1, or they'll 5-year plan South America control out of my hand for me with missile envy. So I'm just really looking forward to that.
That will be nice. Yes, I know Ted in particular, although he's in my group, he loves to headline Missile Envy when it's not safe. That is definitely a big... definitely something that he likes to do because Missile Envy is fun. 5-year plan is fun. Those are fun events. Make random crazy things happen. It's good. Justin, any other predictions?
Just that you're going to win it all, Justin. That's my only prediction. I'm sticking to it.
Again, oh
man,
man,
right.
This is a lot of pressure on me. So we will see. I've got a tough group, but you know what? We all have tough groups. A lot of good players in this tournament. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Looks like we had several viewers today, even those not in the tournament. I know. Looks like JR and Peter in particular wanted to join in and talk a little bit of trash, particularly to me. Gabriel, I saw was making some comments, so thank you for that, and thank you also to JR for for another month of Prime subscription. I appreciate that as always. But until next time, this is Justin Abramson signing off. We'll be back on Wednesday with Game 4 of our U.S. Cup run, we'll wrap up group play with a game against Team Colorado. So Ted and I will be here. We'll be on the air 9 o'clock. Well, actually, the game will start opening coup 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be on the air at 9:15 or shortly thereafter. Hope you will join us then. But until next time, for Josiah Emery and Justin Nordstrom, this is Justin Abramson saying that was fun, but now it's done. So long, everybody.
Bye.